And we are live on YouTube. Thank God. Thank all the gods. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 14th episode of the Stories About Fear podcast with a very, very special guest, a friend of mine called Richard Hutton. The episode today is called Learn to Invest with Richard Hutton, the 25-year-old pensioner. I don't know about you, but when I hear that someone is retired at 25 years young, I get to ask myself a lot of questions. Who is this guy? What is he doing? How did he get here? And before we start, I want to say hello to Richard. Welcome,
Hello, C.
Richie.
Thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure. And talking about money, Richard has learned how to make money work for him so he never needs to have a job again. This sounds more than appealing. It sounds more than financial freedom because Richard starting investing in stocks at the age of 14, and since then he spent thousands of hours studying and experimenting and testing strategies. Is this ambition or what? Finally, after a long journey of personal evolution, Richard understood the market and how things work, and now everything is clear for him. And he has created a robust, easy to execute strategy that doesn't take a lot of time with small risks and potential returns of 20 to 30% per year. And this is what Richard wants to teach you for free as a gift. I have been telling Richie before we even started the official talk for today that I am beyond impressed of his generosity, of his path so far. And I have been more than privileged to be one of his students with many projects because Richie, you were the first person that I learned about Tony Robbins from in 2016 when we met at the NLP practitioner. And then you offered me this amazing coaching on your enlightenment course. And then you taught me about investing, and how lucky and grateful am I to have you here with me today. Thank you once again for being with us today. You did say you have time, so do let us know, please, how is it that you got to be retired at 25 years young?
Thanks for those very kind words. I hope I can live up to the expectations. So, just a little definition: what does it mean to be retired? So, not in the official sense.
Recording in progress.
Not in the official sense that the government sends you a paycheck after age 65, but simply financial freedom. So, enough investments that you can cover your living expenses. Now, I don't have like enormous sums like millions or billions. I live in Romania, which the cost of living is very, very small. So I have just enough so I can start paying for food and bills and not have to work. And because I only have to take out a small part of my trading account to live on, the rest of the money continues to grow. So in time, 5, 10, 20 years from now, I'll have bigger and bigger sums. So how come I reached this goal so soon? Well, part of it was starting early, but actually the bulk of my money I made it in the last 2 years, even though I started investing 10 years ago. So it took that long simply to find something that works and actually develop myself to a point where I can apply the strategy, right? Because a great trader once said, if I would post my strategy in newspaper, people would still lose money. Because that's not the hardest part, what stock to buy, but actually the discipline of sticking to a plan, right? And I synthesized what I've learned in a few simple rules so I can teach it to others more easily, specifically to my kids, so I can create a dynasty. But anyway, and the first idea in that list is that becoming rich is simple, not easy, but simple, technically speaking. And the reason why so few succeed is lack of patience. And just this fact alone then creates so many mistakes in the market. So we've all heard stories of people making enormous sums in the stock market. And it is possible. But the thing is, oftentimes they either got lucky or they did a few things right and the market was extremely favorable and they didn't even expect to make so much money, or they are actually extremely skilled, but the level of difficulty to achieve those high returns is so astronomical that it's not a practical goal to chase after such returns. So the big click was, I think, a year and a half ago, where I looked over a few stocks that I analyzed right in the beginning in 2010, just to see how they did. Right? I didn't hold these stocks. I was taught to trade them actively, just like catch the uptrend and then sell before they drop. So hold the trade for a couple of weeks. But I said, what if I just bought and hold them for the last 10 years? Those four stocks were Apple, Google, Amazon, and eBay. These four stocks went up anywhere between 500% and 2,000%. And I was like, I'm a fucking idiot. For the last 10 years, I've been testing a bunch of these dumbass strategies, looking at chart patterns to catch just the perfect uptrend. While I already found the opportunities, I just didn't have the discipline and psychology to buy and then do nothing.
Wow. This does sound amazing, and it's genius in its simplicity. Most of the times we are looking for very complex things because maybe it's in the human nature to want things to be more complex. But this is a fantastic strategy. And did it help that you began trading since 10 years ago? Or would you say that the last year's experience is far more valuable?
I mean, I had to go through that period because I started making mistakes early, right? So I had time to correct them. I mean, when I first began, I learned a fairly simple strategy of how to find companies based on, for example, the products you already use. And then, if you really like the product, analyze the company that makes the product. Right? So, for example, the iPhone. That's how I looked into Apple. And then a few simple metrics to look at their sales growth, profits, cash flow, blah, blah, blah. And then some rules of when to buy, when to sell. So that was it. And the problem is I knew enough to get started, but I didn't know enough to know what I don't know. So with this limited knowledge, I went in, and it just so happened that the market was favorable. So, I was 14 years old. I had no fucking money. I couldn't even open a brokerage account. So I told my dad, like, hey, Dad, look at this strategy. So he gave me a few $1,000s to test it out. Bought my first stock, eBay. I put $5,000 into it. That was stressful as shit because it's the leap of faith of, okay, you read all this theory, but now you actually put money on the line. It's not even your fucking money. Like, and I buy it, and it goes down. Shit. As soon as it went up 5%, sold, made $200 in profit. Okay, this kind of works. So I kept using the strategy for the first 2 years. I think I even doubled my money or something. I made pretty good returns first couple of years. But again, the market was favorable. And just like a teenager, if they get their driver's license, the most dangerous thing they can do is break the speed limit and not have an accident. Because next time they'll go even faster. And then eventually, So I kept pushing it. I kept risking more and more and more, even borrowing money from the broker and more. It was insane. In, what was this, summer of 2012, I doubled my money again in just 2 weeks. It was insane. I mean,
wow.
The best day of that summer, I made $9,000 in one day.
Wow. And you were how old?
16.
16, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
this was unreal. Right? I was like, fuck this, I'm gonna quit school, become a millionaire. And because I had so much risk and no proper control of my portfolio, eventually some news came out, the stock dropped, and I lost over $30,000 in one trade.
Wow.
That was traumatic. Like I think as a protective mechanism, I became just numb, just so detached and like a legit trauma. And I said, fuck this, I quit trading. Like, I didn't even say it. I just ignored looking at it. My dad closed the trade. And for a year, I did nothing in investing. And so it was beneficial to start early because I could do all those mistakes and then build upon it as I learned.
What a story. I mean, it is a roller coaster. And I think that at the end of the day, where you are now is making you feel so grateful, so much gratitude for going through this, the lows and the highs, because it got you now to be financially independent 100%. And just tell us, Richie, how does it feel to have this freedom, to know that whatever happens, there is no fear of how will I cover my expenses tomorrow if something happens?
Yeah, it is extremely different. I mean, literally, your thinking changes based on the amount of money you have. So there's this debate of does money change you? And let's look at the extremes. So the most limited perspective would be poor people thinking, money is evil, rich people are just greedy and exploiting the working class and shit like that. So they self-sabotage themselves to not have money. And that is incomplete. And then I also heard the complete opposite that says money does not change you, it simply amplifies what you already are. So if you're a lying, cheating bastard, if you have a bunch of money, now you can bribe politicians, not just the local police officer. And if you're very generous when you're poor and helping out, the elderly, now if you're rich, you can donate a bunch. And that is also incomplete. A more holistic view would be it does amplify what you are. And on top of that, you receive tests psychologically. So when you make money, you can now choose how to interpret this. And broadly speaking, you can have two choices, either pride or gratitude. pride of what a fucking great genius you are, and then you equate your net worth with your IQ, or gratitude of this good fortune. So, thank God, like I did my part, but also environmental conditions had to be favorable for me to make all this money, right? So it's both. Like this happened many times throughout history. That, for example, uh, advanced spiritual teacher wrote a book, then practically overnight became rich and famous, and it got into his head. Now, instead of gratitude, he chose unconsciously pride and dropped back down from his saintly ass to just your average schmuck. This happens all the time. So it is that temptation. Now you have power. But the thing is, money itself is just a tool, right? Is your intention behind it. So if you are, okay, practically speaking, my intention overall, like in life, we summed up in the phrase to accelerate the evolution of humanity, right? So make people more healthy, make people happier, better relationships, better finances, just overall accelerate progress, right? Well, if I have more money, I have a bunch of ideas that I can implement to do exactly this. And I will not deny myself the pleasures of life. I will want a giant fucking palace and 100 cars and a yacht and a jet. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this, right? For someone to say, oh, you could donate to the poor instead of buying that private jet. If I earned that money, I can do whatever I want with it. If you think I should do something else with that money, why don't you make 60 million and you can donate to the poor? I will also donate to the poor, but with a certain budget, I'll do whatever I want. And it's not like you light that money on fire, you put it back into the economy, create jobs, pay taxes. So just moving money around in the economy helps everybody. Okay? I've let go of guilt. So yeah, money is a tool, and then you get tests to see if you really stand up.
I am speechless, but I'll continue to talk because we do have a podcast to create here. This is an outstanding approach. This is mind blowing. I've heard the two options about money, the strategies you said before, but the third one, adding that you get tests. Wow, this is amazing. And indeed, people do judge. People have all sorts of ideas of what you should do with your own money. And that is kind of funny when after you get to be pretty amazed at first. I mean, it's my money, mind your own money. And wow, I am loving this money mindset that you have created. Can you please share with us what books or what authors would you recommend that we check out regarding this amazingly healthy money mindset that you are having?
Right. So this mindset specifically is not about money. I don't want to give you guys just a book where there's a list of positive beliefs about money so you can like copy them in your mind. No, there's a better approach. Just like in psychology, at a certain level, we are taught to identify negative beliefs about ourselves, like I can't do it, and then replace it with positive beliefs, like yes, I can do it. That is a step of progress, but that is not the highest level. That is not the ultimate. You can go higher than that. At some point, any belief is a limitation. And we're going to go deep in the weeds here because, why not? So the way the mind thinks is, you get your sensory perception, you see things, you hear things, you analyze them, and a belief is just an opinion you have created from the limited amount of information you are exposed to, right? So any belief is a distortion of reality, right? And you don't have to. You can delete beliefs, right? Don't just replace them with more positive ones. So in a very simple way, through certain exercises, you can quiet the mind, where you literally sit in a room, look at the wall, and there's no thoughts and no emotion. Now, to not be confused with you're a robot, like emotionless, no. This is a state of complete inner peace, which is beyond any emotion. What is left is pure awareness. I am aware that I exist with no thought and no emotion. This is like the most clear way to see the world without distortions. Now, when you reach this state of awareness, you can look at things from first principles. Right? So Elon Musk oftentimes talks about this first principles thinking, which is looking at the most fundamental things that we absolutely know to be true, and then working up from there, instead of just being spoon-fed and being programmed and thinking in analogies like, this is kind of like the other one, so they're kind of the same. Like, it's a lazy way of thinking, right? So a very fundamental aspect of money, right? Let's decompose it to the most essential elements. Is business owner that's rich bad? Well, let's take a bakery, okay? Let's say you want to eat bread, a couple of slices every day, so you need bread. But you are quite busy, you have a job, you have a family, and so you don't have time to bake your own bread, okay? Well, you can just go to a bakery and then pay $2 and buy a bread. Cool, and you are happy. For you, the bread is worth more than $2. You want the bread more than you want those $2. And then, if the business is run well, it costs them less than $2 to make the bread. So they can pay employees, pay taxes, and have a profit. You need to understand human nature, that the ideal is a win-win, right? This self-sacrifice, where I don't want anything and I just selfless service, yes, that is possible, but that is like a monk level of intention. That is not a common occurrence in modern society. So it's more practical to find win-win solutions, right? So the business creates the bread for $1 and sells it for $2. Everybody wins. And if the business can scale up and create many shops and sell a lot of breads, the owner can become a millionaire, right? There's nothing wrong. Like, we as a society should want that business to thrive and for that person to make exorbitant sums, and then he can do whatever.
Exactly.
Right? So at the very now, understand there's a spectrum. So you can do the same with illegal businesses. You can sell drugs, which hurt people. They don't pay taxes, and just creates violence. So in that case, it is destructive. But you can't just paint this overall brush across everybody that all rich people are bad. No. So, books. There is one great book that teaches you how to delete beliefs in a way, just like clear your mind and achieve that inner peace. It's called Letting Go by David Hawkins. Fantastic. I can give you the 30-second summary. So here it is. When you feel a negative emotion, most people, what they tend to do is either express it. So for example, with anger, they shout or hit somebody, or they repress the emotion, just push it aside. But not solve it actually. And there's another better way, which is to let it go, which means when you get a negative emotion like anger, just allow the sensation to be in your body without resisting. It's the trick. It's like relaxing into it. Don't judge it, don't try to make it go away. And the fact of you not resisting makes it like dissolve in a couple of minutes. It's amazing. And if you do this long enough with a particular emotion, you'll feel it more and more rarely and with less and less intensity. And you can do this with all kinds of beliefs. And in the book, it gives you a list of all the things you can let go of. But with this, you can quiet the mind and then see things clearly and then get great results and be happy.
Wow. Indeed, I do believe, as you have taught me in your amazing enlightenment course 2 years ago in 2019, in March, that's how a strong impact it had on me. I still put in practice concepts of how to get rid of things that are actually non-important and non-existent. And I am very grateful that you said this, because I'm pretty sure that our audience is very eager to see your YouTube enlightenment course as well. So I'll make sure to add this amazing piece of material in the description
Actually,
here on YouTube.
That is not public anymore. I made that unlisted. Yeah, the book is sufficient. It's much simpler and easier to teach. I recommend that.
Wonderful.
Rather.
So I'll put the link to the book, because it's a very simple way to deal with your emotions. And I kind of use the same approach with fear as well. I like to encourage the people, the entrepreneurs I work with, to simply get the fear into their awareness. And it actually goes away, maybe not on the spot, but as you said, in a few minutes, you become a completely different person. Richie, as we were talking a bit about fear, can you please share with us how was your relationship with fear originally when you began your trading actions?
Yeah. So I started really working on my psychology improving at like age 17. So when I started trading, I had no training in my mind. I was at the mercy of fear and greed and all those other emotions in the market. Yeah, like I used the usual methods of repression or suppression or expression, whatever. It was bad because it clouds your judgment so much. Like with the first trade, I mean the risk was small. It was a small amount. If it went down enough, I would just sell and cut my losses. But still, there was huge fear compared to now. When just this morning I bought $15,000 worth of Bitcoin. Like I was eager, yes, buy it. If it drops more, give us a fuck. Because I have a plan. It's clear. I know the risks. So those things. I was at the mercy of fear, and as time went on, my methods got more sophisticated. So at age 17 to 20, I learned mental techniques like visualization, affirmations, stuff like that, which does help to some extent, but you gotta kind of keep doing them, it doesn't really solve the root cause once and for all. And then the final breakthrough was at age 22, when there was a period of, it was just like 3 weeks, but I went balls to the walls. I let go of almost everything in my life, the attachment to them, and then that inner peace just prevailed. And since then, I still have some fluctuations, but I quickly come back to this baseline of Zen.
Wonderful. Wow, Richie, this is simply mind blowing once again. And the fact that you now have experience, would you consider that the experience that you have so far is now helping you in conquering your fears just like that on the spot?
Yeah, because if something comes up, and occasionally some fears do come up, uh, I already see that it's just a mental mistake, and I'm just gonna wait a few minutes for it to pass, right? So I don't make decisions from that state. I don't, shout or yell or do some crazy stuff. At the root of any fear is the fear of death. Because if you were to do this exercise, take any fear you have and then ask, okay, if that happens, then what in the worst case scenario? And then what in the worst case scenario? So, person is afraid to ask for a raise from their boss. And as a hypothetical, okay, but in the worst case scenario, what would happen if? Well, my boss would get mad and fire me because I'm so pretentious. Okay, and then what? Well, then I won't have money for rent. And then what? Well, then I'll be homeless. And then I will starve to death. This may not be immediately obvious, but if you really dig deep, it all goes back to the fear of death. And what is the fear of death? Well, it's based on a fundamentally false presupposition. It's the belief of the mind that if the body dies, my existence stops. So that's it. I am all this is, and that's it. So I don't want to die because I don't want to stop existing. And that is false. Now, you may or may not agree with the following statement, but that is your problem. You are an infinite soul. That is like the gist of enlightenment. And when you realize that as an experience, not intellectually understand it, no, like have the experience, like feel it, then you realize that the soul, the consciousness, is from the non-linear domain. It's not tied to this physicality. So if the body dies, then the soul just keeps on going. Thus, death is not the end of your existence. Thus, any fear is an illusion. So, I told you we're going to go balls deep here, but hey, that's how I made so much fucking money by age 25, by understanding things at the core.
And I completely agree. It does make all the sense, Richie. It does make complete sense. And yeah, indeed, so many people have talked about out of their body's experiences. And can you please tell me if you have experienced this? You have got me so curious. We are going a bit off the road from our talk here, but this is such an amazing idea that you have shared with us. Have you felt an out of your body experience? And if yes, kindly share with us how did it feel?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
That's not how the realization came. It's just this gradual letting go of all thoughts and feelings. At some point, I remember when I was in that summer of 2018, I was working on letting go of the desire to think. Right?
Wow.
Like the very energy of the desire to think, I was letting it go. And after a few weeks of super intense practice, I remember sitting on the couch and then just shifting my gaze to an object. Holy shit, no thoughts! Nice!
Wow.
Yeah, and it was this transcendence because the sense of me wasn't now limited to the body. It kind of like dissolved into the field. It's like you're a fish and then you realize you are the water. Or let's say if you're a tree, you realize you're connected with and inseparable from the earth. So like essentially you're one with everything. Right? And in that state, it was obvious that I'm not just a body, I'm an infinite soul. So that's it.
Wow, it's maybe that feeling of complete ultimate
While being
freedom.
sober, didn't take fucking drugs.
While being sober, yeah. Wow, this is amazing. And yeah, this has helped shape who you are, being a pensioner, retired at 25 years young. Wow, this is amazing. And can you please tell us, Richie, what do you think has truly motivated you to go on investing and wanting to achieve so much until this very young age? Because I have got to say that I think you have summed up a few centuries of life in this very short quarter of a century, which is your age. What has
Yeah,
pushed you or what has driven you?
yeah. So that is a very important question. And this goes down to the difference between personal development and personal evolution. Right?
Mm-hmm.
At some point, just spontaneously, this came to me like, wait, what is the difference? Personal development, as is taught in the mainstream, is just doing certain things better. So learn these sales tricks to double your income. Optimize your time so you have an hour extra free each day, or do these pickup lines that you can get later. And they do improve your life, but quite a small amount, and it's very limited. So personal evolution is completely different. That is a fundamental change in the level of consciousness. And in the book Letting Go, there's a very good explanation where you can actually measure the level of consciousness of a person. It's like how developed is your mentality. So if we have a scale from the lowest to the highest, let's say the lowest is like the criminal, drug addict, terrorist, the most destructive, and then you go higher to the average person who just does his job, doesn't cause trouble. We'll go higher to the genius scientist, go higher to the saint, and then higher to the Buddha. That is personal evolution, to fundamentally change the motivating factor behind your actions, not just more of the same, right? It's completely different. And the thing is, when you do these gigantic shifts in level of consciousness, what you do doesn't have to change, because you can do a certain action from a variety of different intentions. Right? You can go to church and donate $10 out of shame of what will the neighbor say if I don't donate. Mm-hmm. Shame, right? So are you really helping if you're putting out more shame? It's like spitting poison, right? Or guilt. Maybe you're some fucking mafia guy and you have some unresolved things, so you want to add some good karma, and that's still bad. Or you can do the same out of generosity, out of legit lovingness, right? Same action, completely different intention. And same was with investing, right? At first, at age 14, was the desire to get rich. When I was growing up, I had this innate love of gadgets, technology, phones, laptops, and so on. So I kept bugging my parents like, hey, buy me this. And, they were building their career. They didn't have just endless amounts of money to throw around. So oftentimes they would say, no, we don't have money for that. And it would really, really bug me, because what kind of dumbass reason is this that we don't have money? Fuck that. I want to make so much fucking money that I can buy whatever I want. So that's not a question of do we have the money, but do I want it? Right? Yeah. And that was the goal, make as much money that everything is within my budget. And then it evolved to the dedication to excellence. It does fit me quite well, this career choice. So, for example, I like to work by myself, and investing is a great way to do this. I can just work along with my laptop, and it is 100% my responsibility if I win or lose. Right? If you're on a basketball team and you can play perfectly, but if you have a dumbass teammate, you can still lose. I don't like that. Then the process is analytical. I love that. I would rather work with charts and tables. So fits me well. Plus, it offers me great leverage. And probably with investing, you can have the most leverage in the economic world out of any other profession. I mean, if you have sufficient amounts of money, you can work an hour a year and make $1 billion. Like, where the fuck else can you do that? I don't think there's. So that's nice. And then the intention evolved more and more to encompass not just me, but the entire world. So it became clear, accelerate the evolution of humanity. And all these ideas of projects came up, which, would help if I had more money. So now I want to enjoy life and help others. That is my current intention.
Wonderful intention and great goals, Richard. And since you mentioned leverage, would you ever consider investing into real estate? Is this maybe on your to-do list in the future?
Not really, because in terms of leverage, like amount of time required per investment. So if I find a great company, let's say Tesla, I even have a little thing.
Oh, those are cool. Those are so cool.
So, okay, let's say I realize Tesla is a great investment. How much money can I invest in Tesla? If I had, what is the maximum amount of money one could invest in Tesla? Well, their market cap is like 700 billion. So you can buy 10% of a company. So with just one opportunity that I found, and it would take me maybe a couple of weeks to analyze thoroughly, I can invest $70 billion and that's it. Like, how long would it take you to invest 70 billion into real estate? Like, how many goddamn fucking houses and apartments would you have to buy? It suits me better, this the business, because you buy a company and without using borrowed money. So when you invest in real estate, you kind of have to use leverage, borrowed money from the bank. But in stocks, you could buy $1,000 worth of Palantir. That's a great new company that I found. It's an AI data mining and stuff. Invest $1,000. The worst you can lose is $1,000, but it can go up 50 times. So the risk reward is amazing. And even if it crashes because of some economic recession temporarily, it can crash however much, and I don't care. But with real estate, if it crashes sufficiently much, you could have problems because you have massive debt. That's one. My goal is scalability. So I want to earn a return higher than market average for as long as possible, right? And then teach my kids to continue, for them to continue as long as possible. And it's just easier to execute. It fits me better, businesses.
These digital options that you are talking about with trades and stocks, this is simply, I agree, the easiest way, and you can work from anywhere with a laptop, with your phone. Richie, do tell us about eToro and your system that you have there, because honestly, I cannot wait to have higher amounts of money to start investing with you, because to be honest, I'd rather trust someone that has thousands of hours already invested into knowledge and trading and stocks. And you can actually get to copy Richard there on this platform. Can you please share more with us about this?
Yeah, so I will tell you guys exactly what I do in investing, not just fucking random hokey pokey fundamental aspects that you can't apply. I will tell you exactly how to find opportunities. But after I tell you, and let's say you like my strategy, on this broker eToro, I have an account. I invest this way, the way that I'll tell you. And you can make an account, and with one click, there's a click button called copy. All my trades were automatically copied in your account for no commission, and you get the exact same returns as me. And in exchange, I get paid by eToro 1 to 2% of the amount you copy me per year. So it's win-win. Now, here's the strategy. So I made most of my money in Tesla. I analyzed the company thoroughly. I understood they have a massive competitive advantage, and it is still highly misunderstood. That's the best, And I thought, okay, I will hold Tesla stock until they won't grow fast anymore. Once a year, at the beginning of the year, when the annual report comes out, I look at last year's sales versus 5 years ago sales. And I ask myself one simple question. Are sales last year at least double what they were 5 years ago? If yes, great. I will hold for another year. If no, sell. So it takes me like 2 minutes of analysis per year. I still read the news every day because it's fun, not because I have to. But that is essentially it. So my hypothesis with Tesla, I think they will continue to grow for many years, but eventually, even in the most optimistic scenario, they can't continue to grow at 50% per year forever, because they will reach limit capacity. So they'll eventually default to the world GDP growth. Anyway, when Tesla will slow down, I'll have to sell and move on to the next company. But how will I be able to find the next great big opportunity? I wanted to create a set of rules so I can easily find the next great company. And for this set of rules to be so clear that I can then easily pass on to my kids so they can continue to make money and donate, help the world and enjoy life. And I did. The idea is to look at a few key metrics and then have discipline to apply them. So I like this sweet spot in an investment opportunity. A company that is sufficiently big that it's obvious that it works, what they're doing. There's no doubt, this is not a startup. It obviously works. But it's sufficiently small, they still have room to grow. It's like very small risk, but still potential of great returns. So there's a website called finviz.com. And there you can find a list of all the stocks in the US. It's like 8,000 companies. And you can sort these companies by different criteria. One of these criteria is sales growth over the last 5 years, my favorite metric. So I set that at over 25% per year. And from 8,000 companies, you now go to just 400. Maybe just 5% of companies are growing at that rate. Amazing. Okay, but you can't, I mean, I don't think you want to invest in 400 companies. So the last thing is click sort by market cap, by the size of the company from high to low. And on the first page is the first 20 companies. The 20 largest companies that are growing at over 25% per year. I believe such a simple filtering mechanism works. Now, what does this work? Well, to make the counter argument why it would not work, if you were to invest in these companies and just get an average return, it means all their future potential is already priced in. They're already so overvalued that even though the sales will continue to grow, the market cap is already priced in all of the future returns. But I believe that it's not so, because most analysts and big funds on Wall Street have a very short-term time horizon. Most have a year. A few have a couple of years out. But the thing is, here's the fucking golden ticket. These great big tech companies, I bet, will continue to grow for longer than most people expect, because they don't just acquire a huge market share in their current industry. They usually then expand to other markets which are unimaginable now, right? So just like Amazon, it was an online bookseller.
Yeah.
And now they host almost half of the internet traffic. What? It's fucking crazy. And that's where they make most of the money. And then they went into publishing, and now they're a movie studio, and like all these crazy, they keep expanding, right? So how do you know when they will stop growing? I don't know. Right? Tesla, they just make expensive luxury electric cars. Fine. And then they started making solar panels and batteries, and soon self-driving cars, do robo-taxis, and then do the same thing that Amazon did with web services. They'll have giant supercomputers to train neural networks for artificial intelligence. Like,
wow,
unimaginable things. And they will not stop because they have some of the smartest people there, and it's in their fucking DNA to be so smart and ambitious. I bet they will continue to grow. So, out of those 20 companies, the biggest that are growing fast, I put an equal amount in each, 5% of my portfolio, and then I rebalance regularly. What does that mean? So, let's say I put 5% in Amazon, 5% in Tesla, and a month passes, and Amazon goes up 10%, and Tesla goes down 10%. Now, Amazon is not 5% of my portfolio anymore, but more, it's 5.5%. Tesla is not 5%, but less, 4.5%. So what I do is I sell some Amazon and to get it down to 5%. And with that money, I buy Tesla to get it up to 5%. What have I done with this? Buy more when it's low, and then sell some when it's high. Buy low, sell high. But without having to predict which stock will move. So you add additional returns. I've been investing this way in my personal account in Revolut for almost a year. And I'm up like 15, 20%, something like that. It fluctuates every day, but something like that. Pretty good, right? And in Etoro, I discovered this last month. So there's not a long track record there. But this is the strategy that I'm using, right? I am investing in the biggest and greatest, fastest growing companies like Amazon, Facebook, Tesla, Netflix, Snapchat, Airbnb. These are fucking amazing companies. It's diversified. Right? So even if something horrible happens with one company, so it's 5% of portfolio, low risk, because they're so big, it's low likelihood that they'll just go bankrupt overnight. And if something bad happens, I just replace the company with another great one. And I don't use leverage. So I don't borrow money from the broker. The only way to lose all of your money with a strategy is for all of these 20 companies to all at once go bankrupt. I mean, that's not happening. And then high returns because all of these companies are still in their fast growth stage. Right? Plus, I do the rebalancing to get some additional returns. So if you like the strategy, you can copy me on Etoro. It takes just 2 minutes to make an account. And I think Roxy will have a link down below.
Wonderful, Richie. I am completely blown away. This has been more than educational. You are such a genuinely kind and helping and giving person that I am pretty sure that everyone listening to us and watching us and seeing us on social media, because I'll be posting this everywhere, is going to want to get in touch with you. So please tell us, how can our audience get more of you and learn more from you?
Yeah, so I'm still practically a nobody. I'm not famous, so you can have my
Not yet.
personal Facebook account. Yeah, on my Facebook account, Richard Hutton. You can look me up, send me a message, no problem. We can chat. I also have a YouTube channel where I detail more of my thought process, ideas. Link down below. Yeah, that's it.
Wonderful. And on eToro, people can also look for your profile. I'll be having all of your links and all of the information you sent me below in the descriptions everywhere. Richie, I am so grateful, so honored to be spreading your amazing message forward. It has been mind blowing as usual. Every talk with you just gets my mind more expanded. And I'm beyond grateful. I'm sure that our audience is already looking up your amazing profiles on eToro, on YouTube, and on Facebook to learn more. And I cannot say more than to thank you once again for your generosity. Richard teaches you in 1 hour what he has put together in thousands of hours in over 10 years of studying the markets, trades, and stocks. And he is teaching you for free. I mean, isn't this amazing or what? Richie, thank you once again. And I'll be looking forward to seeing your dynasty grow, because this is something that I have not heard anyone yet talk about. And it's inspiring. And yes, here's to some amazing growth for you each and every single year.
Thank you, Roxy.
We'll be in touch. Thank you so much, Richie.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.